I want to talk about where we are on the Mueller, it's not the Mueller investigation, but where we are on the effort of America, of the Department of Justice, to get to the root of what in the world happened inside the DOJ, inside the FBI, when they decided to launch, prior to the election of 2016, a completely unjustified investigation, a cooked up allegations against President Trump's team. We now know nothing to the Russian dossier at all, a complete work of fiction, yet relied upon to get FISA warrants. Those FISA warrants used ultimately to just spy on the Trump team. So this investigation that Attorney General Barr is saying that they are doing, the investigation is for, and this is obviously John Durham doing the investigating, but Barr is saying into both the 2016 investigation, what happened up before the election, how they justify what they're doing, then the ongoing effort after the election to continue this astonishing, breathtaking witch hunt against President Trump. And I'm telling you, people, it all ties back. The determination of the FBI and DOJ to go after Trump pre-election and post-election, it all goes back to this idea I keep drumming away at, which is Obama did not simply get elected to be the head of the Democrat Party and put forward more, Democrat type agendas. He was elected. His mission in getting there was to turn this country to a radical left turn toward Marxism. And he thought Hillary Clinton, very much a leftist also, would get elected and she would continue his policies. And President Trump posed a threat to them. They could see in 2016 when Hillary couldn't get 3 people to come to a school gym for a speech or rally she wanted to do, and Trump was filling stadiums for enormous rallies throughout 2016. The Obama team and the Hillary team could see, wow, this guy is popular with the people, number one, and number two, he's not talking about the leftist agenda that the Democrats were trying to put in place. He's talking about America first, restoring sovereignty, restoring jobs, cutting the power of the federal government, draining the swamp. These were scary, scary speeches Obama and his team were listening to. So his administration goes after him, the Obama administration goes after Trump, and all the players in place doing it. So here we sit now in July of 2020. We have this investigation ongoing, and there's a lot of little hints coming out like, we're doing the best we can. Durham is really doing the best he can, but there is a lot to be figured out about this. And, we think that it'll probably be done before the election, but, maybe some of this won't come out until after. We'll just see. Durham will have to see what he can do. People, we cannot let the DOJ, the FBI get away with what they did. We cannot, even Barr and Durham's, I'm not saying, I still will hold out hope that they're actually pursuing an honest investigation and want to bring it out before the election. Because you're hearing some people on the left argue, well, if Durham brings out his findings before the election and a bunch of Democrats get indicted, a bunch of people inside the FBI and DOJ who are Democrat plants, and they get indicted, this is interfering with the fairness of the fall elections. You can't have these Democrats indicted because obviously it's intended to sway the election. And that is the false argument. It's important to know why it is failing to bring those indictments before the fall election that would be interference with the election. The Democrats want nothing more than to keep this hidden, to keep all of this hidden from the American people. If you listen to my show, you've been following, you know what's happening. The average Joe American, I do not know. But the left wants more than anything else to drag everything about Barr and Durham and even Michael Flynn, we'll get to him in a moment, past Election Day with the fond hope that they can cheat their way into the White House, that they'll have Biden elected, and all this goes away, and it'll be a blip in history that no one will ever read about again. This is the Democrat dream. I want to remind you a quick thing that Attorney General Barr said. This was a clip from a couple quick warm-ups about this. He said, Attorney General Barr said about the Durham investigation, in April he said, the evidence shows so far we're not dealing with just mistakes or sloppiness. He also talks about, he said later in June, Developments likely in the Durham investigation in this summertime, so maybe over the summer. So people are waiting. Well, okay, when's it coming? When's it coming? I'll play a quick clip of Attorney General Barr talking about what the real purpose of this entire effort to get Trump carried out by the Obama DOJ and FBI.
To be frustrated, because I think what happened to him was one of the greatest travesties in American history. Without any basis, they started this investigation of his campaign, and even more concerning, actually, is what happened after the campaign, the whole pattern of events while he was president. To sabotage the presidency, and I think that, or at least had the effect of sabotaging the presidency.
Okay, there are a lot more clips I could play, and I need to wrap up the show today, but I want to make this point about that. Attorney General Barr has now said it wasn't sloppy, it wasn't mistakes, clear evidence to sabotage the presidency. There has to be, and you, the American people, we, the American people, we must insist that there is justice, because the idea is not our guy should win versus their guy should win. The American justice system should win. The American justice system must have a rule of law that applies to everyone, including all the actors and players inside the DOJ and FBI. And I'll close out this segment by reminding you, or I'm sure you're probably aware, but Judge Emmett Sullivan, the Washington, D.C. District Court judge, trial judge in the Lieutenant General Michael Flynn prosecution, has now decided that he was ordered by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, the appellate court, a 3-judge panel. He was ordered to say and told, in response to a writ of mandamus filed by Lieutenant General Flynn's attorney, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ordered Sullivan to say, you must dismiss all charges against Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. This is what the DOJ is asking you to do. This is what justice is. This is how our system works. The prosecutor, we have branches of government. The prosecutor, part of the executive branch, has said, you need to dismiss all charges. We're dropping all charges. Sullivan, in the different branch of government, the judicial branch, he's a judge, is saying, I don't think so. I think I'm going to act like a prosecutor. I'm going to look into whether other charges could maybe be brought. Maybe I can get him prosecuted myself for something else. He is totally unjustified. There's no justification at all in law for what this judge is doing. So, because he refused, Emmett Sullivan refused to follow the DOJ, who actually filed the motion. The Department of Justice filed a motion saying you've got to dismiss all charges, because all sorts of wrongdoing has now come out that happened inside the DOJ. So you have DOJ dismiss charges, Sullivan won't do it, goes up to the Circuit Court of Appeals, 3-judge panel tells him you have to dismiss those charges, Sullivan. You have no right to continue a prosecution that the prosecution doesn't want to prosecute. So now Sullivan has decided to appeal that 3-judge ruling to the entire D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. It's called en banc. It means the whole lineup of them. So on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, I quick checked for you where we are. We have 11 judges, and it shouldn't matter, but it makes all the difference in the world. That D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals is made up of 4 judges appointed by Republicans, 1 by Bush, 2 by Bush, and 2 by Trump. So D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, 4 of the 11 appointed by Republicans, and 7 of the 11 appointed by Democrats, either Clinton or Obama. And this is a very sad commentary on where we are in this country, because I can tell you that D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals will decline to follow the law. There is no other right answer than to order the judge to dismiss all charges. It is the only answer our system allows. But that Circuit Court of Appeals, in my estimation, my surmise, will find some reason to refuse to refuse to follow the law, to refuse to order the judge to dismiss the charges, which will then get us, so they'll issue their order, that goes back down to him, and that'll have to be Flynn's attorneys making a special appeal to the Supreme Court. Understand the agenda here. The goal is, of course, to try to drag out the Flynn prosecution till after the fall elections. The expectation that if Biden wins, all of this gets swept under the rug. All of the wrongdoing by the DOJ gets swept under the rug, and the end of all of this effort to get the charges dropped against Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. This is a travesty this is a completely political manipulation of our criminal justice system, a travesty in our system. It's a travesty that at this point, most people informed people looking at the Circuit Court of Appeals realized, oh, they have 7 judges appointed by the Democrats and only 4 by the Republicans. Okay, Democrats win. Therefore, Sullivan will not be forced to follow the law. We'll keep an eye on that. I don't know, but it's a very, very troubling thing, and very troubling because you can see the agenda is drag it out past the election day in November.